Crime is on a downward trend across the country since a pandemic-era spike. But today, a number of cities are reporting a new rise in violent crime among youth. In many cases, law enforcement says social media played a central role. Stephanie Tsai reports from Maricopa County, Arizona, about the challenges of addressing teen violence.
A little over a year ago, Connor Jarnigan's typical suburban teen life took a dark turn.
Until that moment, I didn't think that people had such an evil in their heart to do something like that to somebody.
While waiting in the parking lot of an In-N-Out, Connor said he was confronted by about a dozen teen boys. The leader demanded $20, and Connor resisted.
I've worked for this money. You're not just going to take it from me right here. So I said no until he punched me with brass knuckles. The whole time there's blood just gushing down my head. I was shaking and crying because I really didn't know what was going to happen to me. I didn't even know if I was going to live. It was really scary for me.
The suburb where it happened, outside Phoenix, is what his mom Stephanie described as a bubble, billing itself in recent years as one of the safest cities in America.
We live in Gilbert, Arizona. It's a bedroom community. I never thought that would happen. Sending my son, letting him go have a burger with friends at dinner time. I didn't think that would be unsafe.
It turns out the teen who assaulted Connor was part of a group who called itself the Gilbert Goons.
There's videos of him fighting people all over the internet.
The group members were known for posting videos of each other flashing guns, ganging up on teens, and street racing. Examples of teen violence span social media and the country. From Missouri, where a 15-year-old girl attacked another teen, landing her in the ICU, to Stockton, California, where a group of teens filmed the beating and robbing of an 8-year-old. The violence by the Gilbert Goons, which although recorded went unchecked by law enforcement for the better part of a year, culminated in the death of 16-year-old Preston Lord last October. While a group of attackers pummeled him, some teens called 911, while others stood by, recording on their phones.
Why do you have 40 kids with a camera recording violence? I saw a 5-second video of Preston right before they did CPR. And I don't ever want to see a video like that again in Gilbert.
As community grief turned to outrage over the death of Lord, Gilbert Town Council member Chuck Bongiovanni helped set up a subcommittee to address teen violence. At a recent meeting, half the attendants were area high school students.
But just one thing I would say would be a big deal also while going to these schools, it's just also teaching children accountability, be accountable not only the police and everything, but just general morals.
While moral accountability is called for by some, many others are calling for stronger law enforcement and curfews.
Now with social media, it's creating personas that these kids usually really wouldn't be if they didn't have the social media.
A 30-minute drive from Gilbert, Commander Gabe Lopez says the number of teens murdered in his city last year rose significantly from the year before, as did the number of teens charged with homicides. Lopez is head of the Phoenix Police Department's Violent Crimes Bureau.
Last night, the city saw its latest teen takeover, this time in Lakeview.
A mob of teens filled the streets, damaging the vehicles and businesses in the neighborhood. WGN's Kelly Davis has more.
People tell me hundreds of teens poured off the L here at the Belmont Red Line stop. They swarmed the streets and caused chaos throughout the neighborhood. This is the scene that unfolded just after 10 o'clock last night. Hundreds of teens took to the streets, shutting down Belmont for hours.
There was no celebration yesterday. It was just pure chaos.
Radi Hashish is the manager of the Slice Shop. The restaurant, just steps from the Belmont Red Line stop, was surrounded. He shared this video he took from inside the store of teens dancing on cars and drinking in the streets.
Right away, we decided to close both the store and the restaurant, and we stayed all night watching, making sure nobody broke in or nobody vandalized our business.
CPD officers worked to control the crowd and move them out of the area, but the teens left behind a path of destruction. People were horrified by the extent of the damage this morning. Shoe prints on cars, hoods dented, windshields broken.
It's terrifying. It's terrifying.
Grace Rowan said she even heard gunshots and was too scared to leave her apartment.
It has been very chaotic. And as somebody who's lived in Lakeview for honestly the past 3 years, it's very scary to see how things have changed over time.
People are hoping the city steps up to prevent this from happening again. Alderman Bennett Lawson helped with cleanup this morning. He released a statement saying, quote, "I will be meeting with the 19th District Police, CTA, and others to discuss what took place and identify ways we can prevent it from occurring moving forward, as well as continue conversations with my colleagues on City Council about how we can keep our youth from participating in these disruptive actions."
We all simply love Lakeview, and to see others coming in and not respecting your community the same way that you do is really upsetting.
Chicago police arrested 2 people, including a 15-year-old girl. She has been charged with aggravated assault of a first responder, resisting and obstructing traffic. Reporting from Lakeview, I'm Kelly Davis, WG.
No one knows better the trauma that young violence levels on the city of Indianapolis than the men and women of IMPD, who are often first on the scene when a child has suffered a gunshot wound.
We're going to have to really look at our youth violence. We're going to have to look at how many children have access to firearms and how do we deal with that.
The first step might be as simple and as complicated as teaching young people how to talk to one another, when too often social media and its facility for fostering boisterous, semi-anonymous insults and threats is what passes for communication.
We hear stories all the time of, a gunshot or an assault or something that started from an argument. And we also hear this all the time of our conflicts that haven't escalated yet, of issues that have been going on for 5, 6, 10 years of the same thing with no resolution.
This year, IndyPeace.org and the Indy Center for Conflict Resolution and its hashtag #IChoosePeace message will seek to sign up 99 community mediators, one for each distinct neighborhood in the city, to preach the gospel of finding common ground to talk out disputes.
Going out into the schools, being part of their events that they have, talking to the parents all over the neighborhoods already. We intend to hit every roll call for IMPD, just letting them know that we are going to be there for them, to refer those cases over to us when people have those kinds of conflicts.
The Mayor's Office of Public Health and Safety will hire a youth violence prevention manager to specifically intervene in young people disputes that can lead to forever life-changing decisions.
The first thing that I say is, if you don't think that conflict resolution is an essential life skill, there's really not anything that you can't argue that.
In early February, there will be a citywide conference led by teenagers in the search for an answer to Indianapolis's youth violence challenge. On the east side, Russ McQuaid, Fox 59 News.
This week, a look at what's fueling a new wave of gang violence in New York City.
And now the body count's never enough.
Plus, the dangerous epidemic of deadly new drugs flooding the streets.
This is the greatest threat we've ever faced in drug law enforcement.
Right now, Fox 5's Crime in the City. Here are the crimes across the 5 boroughs. Beginning in Queens this week, Fox 5's Lisa Evers shares what's fueling the rise in youth violence and gang shootings.
Police say they're making progress in reducing major felony crimes, but one area has them deeply concerned: the growing rise in youth violence, especially gang-related shootings. We had exclusive access and were embedded with NYPD special units for a major gang takedown. It's clear today's gang problem is very different from the gang culture of decades past, and so is the law enforcement approach.
A significant number of our shooting incidents involving our people who are young center on gangs and street crews.
We got an exclusive inside look at how the NYPD is focusing on the most violent offenders and not doing the wide net sweeps of the past that sometimes snared innocent neighbors. In Queens, it was 2 rival gangs, more than 30 alleged members, most between 18 and 22 years old, and some juveniles. All police say with previous criminal justice involvement, and now charged with gang conspiracy in 2 murders and multiple shootings, using dozens of guns.
It's pretty much shoot on sight when they see the opposition. And a lot of times innocent people are caught in the middle of it.
So it's just young kids just kind of doing whatever they want. And it's any idea they come up with, they get other people on board and they just go do random crazy things.
Experts say easy access to cheap guns has escalated the violence.
In the 90s, there were rules. You had to ask permission before you killed somebody. And now the body count's never enough.
My cameraman and I had to put on bulletproof vests due to the potential for danger. The roots of the problem run deep, says A.T. Mitchell, founder of the Man Up organization.
Our neighborhoods and our societies failed our young people and left them out to do whatever they want to do and commit these vicious crimes.
Police say the gang rivalry heats up to a boiling point on live social media taunts and
beaches. Action News reporter Catherine Scott is live in Ocean City with more on the fallout from the holiday weekend. Good morning, Catherine.
Good morning, Matt. Yeah, this issue seems to come up each year. The boardwalk in Ocean City, quiet this morning, as you can see. But there's questions of what to do here this summer and in other shore communities after trouble with teens over the holiday weekend. Over Memorial Day weekend in Wildwood, a state of emergency temporarily restricted access to the boardwalk after police say there were numerous incidents of civil unrest. And on the Ocean City boardwalk Saturday night, police say a 15-year-old boy was stabbed after a fight broke out. His injuries not life-threatening. The issue of large groups of roving teens and young adults has come up over and over again in recent years. Curfews, backpack bans, and rules on alcohol have been enacted in various shore towns. Some officials have slammed policies spearheaded by the governor and attorney general's office, setting limits on police interaction with teens and youth, especially for alcohol and marijuana use. Yesterday, Cape May County Commissioner Director Len DeSiderio released a statement saying, "We all have a right to live peaceably, and we must demand that Trenton allow our police officers to do their jobs in order to maintain law and order." Some boardwalk business owners noted business was good over the weekend and did not see serious problems themselves.
We saw some increased crowds and some gathering of the kids, but the police were very active in moving them along and controlling the situation for the whole weekend.
The police is everywhere. This is a very secure environment. Wildwood always was. I mean, it's the best boardwalk. The police is everywhere, and they have a curfew, so they don't allow the kids to run around without control.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 51 and verse 17. Awake, awake, stand up, O Jerusalem.
All right, so we're here today to teach you youth about keeping God's commandments. The children of disobedience. As we started off this class, you see a collection of videos touching on the level of violence from city to city. A never-ending case of violence, gun violence, plaguing community after community. A sense of unsafe, people being unsafe, not able to navigate their communities in a safe manner because we live in a times of unruly and disobedient children. Read.
Which has drunk at the hand of the Lord.
Come on.
The cup of his fury. Thou hast drunken the dregs of the cup of trembling.
And the cup of God's fury is on us. It's on this nation because we are a most rebellious nation. We are that disobedient nation. Read.
And wrung them out. There is none to guide her among all the sons.
The Lord saying there's none guiding us. Who is guiding these youth? Who is guiding them that they are so destructive? Who is guiding these children? But we're going to find out who has been guiding them and who has to take over guiding them back in the right path. Read.
Whom she hath brought forth. Neither is there any that taketh her by the hand of all the sons that she hath brought up. These two things are come unto thee. Who shall be sorrow for thee?
It says, who shall be sorrowful for these children? When they are put to death, when they are placed in prison, who is going to be sorrowful for them? They are the most destructive thing that is on this earth. Well, one of them, our children, because they have become unruly. They have become disobedient. Read.
Desolation and destruction and the famine and the sword. By whom shall I comfort thee? Thy sons have fainted. They lie at the head of all the streets.
Our sons are in the streets. And not only our sons, Our daughters are also in the streets. Read.
As a wild bull in a net, they are full of the fury of the Lord.
And they're like wild bulls. Wild bulls in a net is very difficult to control. You have police that have lost control of our children to the point that the only option is to pull the trigger on them. This is what's going on in these various cities. These law enforcement, they have no control over the wild bulls in the net. Read. Is that it?
The rebuke of thy God.
And we are under the rebuke of God. Give me Lamentations, chapter 4, verse 1.
The book of Lamentations, chapter 4 and verse 1. How is the gold become dim?
The Lord is asking, how has gold become dim? When we examine gold, gold is a bright metal. It shines, it's lustrous, it's glorious. You can look at it and see how precious it is. God is asking, how has that become dim? Read.
How is the most fine gold changed? The stones of the sanctuary are poured out in the top of every street. The precious sons of Zion, comparable to fine gold, how are they esteemed as earthen pitchers?
It says, how has the precious sons of Zion become like pots, earth, with no luster, with no gold, with no honor? How have they become that? Read.
The work of the hands of the potter. Even the sea monsters draw out the breast.
It says, even sea monsters draw out the breast. Read.
They give suck to their young ones.
Meaning that they feed their children. Read. They feed, they nurture. They make sure that a sea monster makes sure their sucklings, their children, grow up to be adults. A sea monster does that. Read.
The daughter of my people is become cruel.
It says the daughters of Israel have become cruel. They have become cruel where, and IT, if you can bring us some pictures, they have become the corporate blueprint for the abortion clinics. That's what they become. They make sure they bring in what's needed to make an abortion clinic flourish. And you have abortion clinics everywhere because they see that they need the service and they're utilizing the service. Read.
Like the ostriches in the wilderness.
Like an ostrich in the wilderness.
The tongue of the sucking child cleaveth to the roof of his mouth for thirst.
And we've read stories where sisters go on trips, leaving their kids in the house, leaving their children in the apartment for weeks. This is the daughters of our people. This is the daughter of Israel. We have become disobedient children. Is that it on that?
The young children ask bread, and no man breaketh it unto them.
Come on.
They that did feed delicately are desolate in the streets. They that were brought up in scarlet embrace dunghills.
Those that were brought up in royalty now embrace dunghill. Now they embrace lower than low because we are disobedient children and the wrath of God is on us. Isaiah chapter 1 and read verse 4.
Isaiah chapter 1 and verse 4. Ah, sinful nation, a people laden with iniquity.
The Lord said that Israel is a sinful nation. It says that we are laden with sin. Come on.
A seed of evildoers.
We have become a seed of evildoers. When we examine the videos that were played in the beginning of this class, it is our people that you truly have to be afraid of. It is our people that you have to look over your shoulder as you navigate the Bronx, the Queens, Chicago, Milwaukee, Memphis, all these major cities. It is our people that are terrifying of the community. It is our people. And we can't dance around that. We have to understand that it is our children. It is us that are disobedient. Read.
Children that are corrupters. They have forsaken the Lord. They have provoked the Holy One of Israel unto anger.
It says they have provoked the Holy One of Israel unto anger. That's what they have done. They have provoked God to anger. Give me Sirach chapter 3. Let's get Sirach chapter 3. We start at verse 1.
The book of Ecclesiastes.
And a lot of times we put a lot, you'll see our children commit heinous crimes. And what we will do as parents, we will pull up their graduation photo. Now, they're 16, 17, some of them are 13, 12. They will commit some of the most heinous crimes you can think of because they are the wild bull in the pen. And when they get caught, you will see the tears, my grandbaby, they're innocent. And then you will see come out the graduation photo when they were like 6. But you have raised up a monster. You have raised up a child that without a level of discipline being put on that child is slated for death. That child is slated to be put to death because the level of evil in them cannot be quenched. Read.
The book of Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha, chapter 3 and verse 1. Hear me, your father, O children.
It says, hear me, your father. Read.
And do thereafter that ye may be safe.
That ye may be safe. Right off the bat. Listen, children, you need to listen to your father that ye may be safe. Read.
For the Lord hath given the father honor over the children.
So that says the Lord has given the father honor over the children. Read.
And hath confirmed the authority of the mother over the sons.
All right, read.
Whoso honoreth his father maketh an atonement for his sins.
So it says, whosoever honoreth his father maketh atonement for his sins. Can we look up the word honor? Let's look up that word, honor. Just use the Google dictionary. And we're going to go cycle through some of these words. Read number 1.
Definition of honor, high respect.
It says high respect. Do your children have high respect for you? Do they honor your rules? Do they conform to the discipline that you instill in them? Are they doing well in school, or are there reports about fighting, whoredom, cursing out teachers? Is this the report of your children, or is the report honorable? Read number 2.
Number 2, adherence to what is right.
It says adherence to what is right. Are you teaching them what is right? Are you making sure that they are adhering to what is right? Read the whole thing.
Adherence to what is right or to a conventional standard of conduct.
It says a conventional standard of conduct. The conventional standard of conduct is the commandments. That's the Bible. That is the conventional standard of behavior. That is the behavior that they should exhibit. And let's prove that. Let's read the similar words.
Integrity.
Integrity.
Honorableness. Honesty. Uprightness. Ethics. Morals. Morality. Principle. High principles. Righteousness.
It says righteousness.
Rectitude. Nobility. High-mindedness. Right-mindedness. Noble-mindedness. Virtue. Goodness. Decency. Probity. Scrupulousness. Worthiness. Worth.
All right, so let's deal with integrity. Give me Proverbs 11:3. Because I said earlier, we must conform to the conduct that is spelled out in the Bible. That's the honor we must display. Read.
Proverbs chapter 11 and verse 3. The integrity of the upright shall guide them.
It says the integrity of the upright shall what?
Shall guide them.
It says shall guide them. Because we read earlier where it says there's no guide in Isaiah. It says that there is no guide for them because we have lost all manner of integrity. We have lost all manner of morality. Read some more of those synonyms.
Honorableness, honesty, uprightness, ethics, morals, morality, principle,
principles,
high principles, righteousness, rectitude, nobility, high-mindedness, right-mindedness, noble-mindedness, virtue, goodness, decency, probity, scrupulousness, worthiness,
justice, truthfulness, reliability, faithfulness. What is the opposite of honor?
Dishonor.
It is dishonor. Click on dishonor.
Definition of dishonor. Bring shame or disgrace on.
When we watch those clips of our children in these various cities, that brings dishonor to our nation. It brings dishonor to our nations, and it should bring dishonor to you as a parent. It should bring dishonor to you as a father, because it shows that we have not raised them in the fear of God. We have not raised them to fear God and to fear his judgments. And even on a lower level, they do not fear you as a parent. And they have become the children of disobedience. Is that on dishonor? Read those similar words.
Disgrace. Bring dishonor to. Bring discredit to. Bring shame to.
Bring shame to. If you don't watch over a daughter, she can bring shame to. This is not just a male thing. You must watch over your daughter, or she will bring shame to you. She will be known in the streets. Everybody will know her name in the streets. And it's not a good name. If your daughter is loud, if your daughter is not a keeper at home, she will bring shame to that father, to that mother. Let's get that in Proverbs. It's Proverbs 6. I believe. Or is that 10? I don't have it in my notes. I'm just pulling it.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 7 and verse 10. And behold, there met him a woman with the attire of an harlot and subtle of heart. She is loud and stubborn.
She is what?
Loud and stubborn.
It says she is loud and stubborn. But before, when you read that, it says he met a woman with the attire of an harlot. When we look at our sisters or daughters, they are dressing like an harlot. They may not want to claim to be a harlot or a whore, but they are wearing the uniform of a harlot. So how can you tell they're not a harlot? How can you tell they're not one of the whores? They are wearing the uniform. Then they went to harlot training. Read. This is the when you go to harlot training, this is how you behave. Read.
She is loud and stubborn.
She is what?
Loud and stubborn.
She is loud and stubborn. That brings shame to our nation. Because our women are supposed to be what? Quiet, silent, shamefaced, graceful. But this is the attribute of the children of disobedience. And we cannot glorify that. We cannot make excuses for that. Sisters must hold themselves accountable if they are like that. Because it's a shameful thing. It is an attribute of the children of disobedience. Because when you examine the rules of conduct, it says morality, integrity. It says honor. Read.
Her feet abide not in her house.
We watch those videos. There are women out with nothing on 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 a.m. How are their keepers at home? They are graduated harlots. They have graduated the harlot program. And now they are performing the harlot or the whorish rituals out in the street. That's it right there. Social media, they graduated with, I was going to say with honor, but no. In this program, they get a certificate of dishonor. Look at it. Right there in the midst of that's their prom. They got a certificate in what? What's called that? Whoredom. Was that horgonometry? Horonometry. Wow. You can't make that up, but this is the things that we have to fix in our community. Because we have become that disgrace. We have become that shame. What had you reading?
Proverbs chapter 7 and verse 11.
Is that it?
Yes, sir.
Let's go to righteousness. Deuteronomy 6. Because when we go back to honor, if we go back to honor, it says decency. It says worthiness. And it says righteousness. So let's bring up righteousness.
Deuteronomy chapter 6.
What is righteousness?
Deuteronomy chapter 6 and verse 25. And it shall be our righteousness.
It says, it shall be our righteousness. Read.
If we observe to do all these commandments.
And the Lord put a stipulation there. He said, if we decide to do what?
Do all these commandments.
Come on.
Before the Lord our God, as he hath commanded us.
And the Lord said he had commanded us to do these commandments. Here's the commandment, Exodus 20 and 12.
Exodus chapter 20 and verse 12. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee.
It says, honor your father and mother. That your what? That your days may be long upon the land. That the Lord does not put his fury upon you and take you off of this earth, because you have become a child of disobedience. Let's go back to Sirach 3 and 1. Read that again. Read verse 1.
The book of Sirach chapter 3 and verse 1. Hear me, your father, O children, and do thereafter that ye may be safe.
That ye may be safe. Read.
For the Lord hath given the father honor over the children, and hath confirmed the authority of the mother over the sons. Whoso honoreth his father maketh an atonement for his sins.
Come on.
And he that honoreth his mother is as one that layeth up treasure. Whoso honoreth his father shall have joy of his own children.
A father should have joy of his children. The joy is not gang violence. The joy is not robbery. The joy is not turning on the news and watching your son rip off an Apple store of all the cell phones in there. That is not joy. The joy is not watching your daughter drunk, wasted. The joy is not hearing about your daughter leaving your granddaughter in an apartment and going on a cruise to have her best summer. That is not joy. That is shame. That is the children of disobedience. Leviticus 19:29.
Leviticus chapter 19 and verse 29.
And IT, get some pictures of how the land has fallen into whoredom, if you can, and become full of wickedness. Read.
Do not prostitute thy daughter to cause her to be a whore.
Do you know, we are simple people, you know. The Lord is saying, do not prostitute thy daughters to be a whore. We go to camp and there's mothers that have their young daughters in spandex, in tight spandex. And they see no problem with it. We talked to a sister, sis, that is underwear. She said, nah, this is gym attire. We have gone so far to be disobedient, we have turned the thing that is underwear like it is some godly attire. And you have children 3, 4, 5, 13, and they're wearing underwear outside, not realizing that they're doing what? Read.
Do not prostitute thy daughter to cause her to be a whore.
To cause her to be a whore. You are enrolling her in the University of Whoredom. To get a degree in what, brothers? Horology? What do you call it? Pornography. You know, we're going to merge two words together. And it doesn't take much to graduate. To graduate that university, all you got to do is loud put on the attire of a harlot, and be in the streets. You don't have to learn to cook. You don't have to learn to clean. You don't have to learn to honor a man. You actually learn you don't need a man. You learn everything that is unrighteous and you graduate. The more you learn, the bigger your certificate become. That's what our women are going to. And our men are right behind them. Our men are right behind them. Why? Because that sister, when she goes to the University of Whoredom, they teach her a special skill. The scripture says to hunt the precious life. Let's get that. To hunt the precious life.
Yes, sir. The book of Proverbs, chapter 6, and verse 26. For by means of a whorish woman, a man is brought to a peace.
Let me get there with you, because I might need to read it myself to make sure that I don't run into any of these graduates out there. Read it again.
Proverbs chapter 6 and verse 26. For by means of a whorish woman, a man is brought to a piece of bread.
I want you to start from 23.
Yes, sir.
Because remember, we said earlier that honor is righteousness. Honor is the conduct we should be striving for through the commandments. Read.
Proverbs chapter 6 and verse 23. For the commandment is a lamp, and the law is light, and reproofs of instruction are the way of life.
It says the reproofs of instructions. This is our way of life. The way of life that our people are conforming to, the gang violence, the robbery, the whoredom, the clubbing, the smoking, the drinking, that is not the way of life. Read it again.
For the commandment is a lamp, and the law is light.
Read.
And reproofs of instruction are the way of life.
Come on.
To keep thee from the evil woman.
To do what?
Keep thee from the evil woman.
To keep you from the children of disobedience. Read.
From the flattery of the tongue of a strange woman.
Come on.
Lust not after her beauty in thine heart, neither let her take thee with her eyelids.
Come on.
For by means of a whorish woman, a man is brought to a piece of bread.
It says you are brought to a piece of bread. You went from gold to now some stale bread with some mold on it. And she's willing to eat it, if you know what I mean. She's willing to eat it. And whatever that mold is, she's willing to swallow it. Read.
And the adulteress will hunt for the precious life.
It's a hunt, brothers. They graduate with a hunting license. You imagine that? Look at them. You see that rear end? That's the barrel. And the front of that barrel is the trigger. And you get caught in it. She has all the ammunition on her to take your life. Read. Is that it?
Sir.
Let's go back to Ecclesiastes. Continue. No, I think you finished that, right? Sirach 16:01. Did you finish it?
Yes,
Ecclesiastes 3:01?
Yes, sir.
16:01.
Sirach chapter 16 and verse 1. Desire not a multitude of unprofitable children.
It says we must not desire unprofitable children. Read on.
Neither delight in ungodly sons.
That's why I say we cannot have ungodly children and then put up their 6-year-old graduation photo, knowing that your child is the devil. But before they get to that stage, are you teaching them to fear God? Are you instilling them the commandments daily? Is it your daily regimen? Or do you play with them? Do you conquer your child? Is your child your friend? Is your child your buddy? Is your child your playmate? Do you all have sit down and have, adult conversations, and you ask your child about, hey, what's going on with the world? Or are you teaching them, man, if you don't fear God, he's going to put you to death. If you don't fear God, you're going to catch a disease. You're going to be pregnant. You're going to lose your life. You're going to get AIDS, gonorrhea. Are you teaching your child that if they don't fear God, his wrath is going to come upon them? Read on.
Though they multiply, rejoice not in them.
It says, though our children multiply, the Lord say, rejoice not. Read.
Except the fear of the Lord be with them.
It says, except the fear of God is in them. Hold that. Give me Sirach 19:18. The fear of God has to be in the children of disobedience for them to correct themselves. It is correctable, but it starts with the fear of God. Read.
Sirach chapter 19 and verse 18. The fear of the Lord is the first step to be accepted of him, and wisdom obtaineth his love.
It says the fear of God is the first step. Job 28:28. Job 28:28.
The book of Job, chapter 28 and verse 28. And unto man he said, behold, the fear of the Lord, that is wisdom, and to depart from evil is understanding.
It says, when you depart from evil, that is understanding. All right, Proverbs 3 and 5.
Proverbs chapter 3 and verse 5. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding.
You cannot lean on your own understanding, because clearly the understanding of aborting your child don't make sense, because it's not of God. The Lord said, thou shalt not kill. Drugs, dressing like a harlot, when the Lord said the woman must adorn themselves in modest apparel. When it says the man must be sober. Read.
In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. Be not wise in thine own eyes. Fear the Lord and depart from evil.
It says, fear the Lord and depart from evil. Fear the Lord and depart from evil. Read. I'll go back to Sirach 16. You read down to 3.
Sirach chapter 16 and verse 1. Desire not a multitude of unprofitable children, neither delight in ungodly sons.
Come on.
Though they multiply, rejoice not in them, except the fear of the Lord be with them. Trust not thou in their life.
It says, trust not thou in their life, because the Lord will kill them. The Lord will send forth judgment to those ungodly kids. Read.
Neither respect their multitude, for one that is just is better than 1,000. And better it is to die without children than to have them that are ungodly.
It said it is better to die without children than to raise ungodly kids. It is better to die. There's one in Sirach I wanted. Let me see if I can pull it quick. While I'm looking for it, get me Ephesians 6:1.
The book of Ephesians, chapter 6 and verse 1. Children, obey your parents in the Lord.
It says, children, obey your parents. Come on.
For this is right. Honor thy father and mother, which is the first commandment with promise.
So it says that it repeats it in Ephesians. Honor your parents. Honor your parents. Children, obey your parents. Let's get Sirach 7:23.
The book of Sirach, chapter 7 and verse 23. Hast thou children? Instruct them. And
it says what?
Hast thou children? Instruct
them. And that's what I was saying earlier. You cannot have a child and just let the child run rampant with no type of instructions. If thou hast a what?
Hast thou children? Instruct them.
It says instruct them, read.
And bow down their neck from their youth.
And it says while they are young, you have to bow down their neck. Discipline them, or they will make you a laughing stock. You will turn on the news and you will see Raheem in a chain gang going into prison. You will see your daughter on the news with 6 felonies going to prison. And it's not like they're ashamed of it either. The children are not ashamed. They are monsters. So stop putting up those graduation pictures, man. Read.
Hast thou daughters? Have a care of their body.
Come on.
And show not thyself cheerful toward them.
Jump to verse 27.
Verse 27. Honor thy father with thy whole heart.
It says, honor your father with your whole heart.
And forget not the sorrows of thy mother.
Come on.
Remember that thou wast begotten of them, and how canst thou recompense them the things that they have done for thee?
Read.
Fear the Lord with all thy soul, and reverence his priests.
And reverence his priests. Sirach 30:3. Fathers, you got to teach your sons. You have to teach them to be law-abiding to the commandments. You have to teach them to be law-abiding to the laws of the land. Not running a scam, not getting how many women they can have a body count. Now women are doing that. This is my body count. All these things are the children of disobedience. Read.
Sirach chapter 30 and verse 3. He that teacheth his son grieveth the enemy.
And that's what you want to do. You want the enemy to look at our children and say, man, these people move with honor, with dignity. You know what that means? The Lord is going to start fighting for them. That's what put fear in them. Read.
And before his friends, he shall rejoice of him.
Come on.
Though his father die, yet he is as though he were not dead. For he hath left one behind him that is like himself.
Come on.
While he lived, he saw and rejoiced in him.
While he lived, he saw the results of teaching his son. And rejoice. Jump to verse 9.
Verse 9. Conquer thy child and he shall make thee afraid.
If you play with them instead of teaching them, he will make you afraid. He will be the one threatening your life. He will be the one robbing you. He will have no regard of your life or others. He will be the one that take your life. Read.
Play with him, and he will bring thee to heaviness.
Come on.
Laugh not with him, lest thou have sorrow with him, and lest thou gnash thy teeth in the end.
And you gnash your teeth in the end because what? You didn't teach him. You did not teach him. You did not watch over that daughter. Give me Colossians 3. I'm going to start at 6.
Colossians chapter 3 and verse 6.
Give me first 3 and 4.
Colossians chapter 3 and verse 4. When Christ, who is our life, shall appear, then shall ye also appear with him in glory. Mortify therefore your members which are upon the earth.
The word mortify means to subdue by self-denial or discipline. You got to mortify the members in those children to make sure that they're doing what? Read verse 5.
Mortify therefore your members which are upon the earth: fornication, uncleanness, inordinate affection, evil concupiscence, and covetousness, which is idolatry.
Which is idolatry. Read.
For which things' sake the wrath of God cometh on the children of disobedience.
So the things we just read above, fornication, uncleanness, evil concupiscence, covetousness, it says the wrath of God comes upon the children of disobedience. Read.
In the time ye also walked sometime, when ye lived in them. But now ye also put off all these: anger, wrath, malice, blasphemy, filthy communication out of your mouth. Lie not one to another, seeing that ye have put off the old man with his deeds, and have put on the new man, which is renewed in knowledge after the image of him that created him.
Let's go to Tobit 4 and 3. Let's read through this quick. This is what Tobit did for his son. He instructed him. And after we read this IT, we're going to start to play those videos.
Tobit chapter 4 and verse 3. And when he had called him, he said, My son, when I am dead, bury me, and despise not thy mother.
Come on.
Honor her all the days of thy life.
You see that? Honor her. Honor your father and mother all the days of your life. Read.
And do that which shall please her, and grieve her not.
Come on.
Remember, my son, that she saw many dangers for thee when thou was in her womb, and when she is dead, bury her by me in one grave. My son, be mindful of the Lord our God all thy days, and let not thy will be set to sin, or to transgress his commandments.
So he's instructing his son. He's instructing him. Come on.
Do uprightly all thy life long, and follow not the ways of unrighteousness.
And follow not the ways of unrighteousness. Now, we begin this class watching a whole selection of videos of violence in the earth, youth violence. And one thing we must know, we have the solution. We must stand up as men and bring the solution to youth violence. And it's not candy. It is not balloons. It is not, sing a song. It is God's commandments. That is the solution. 1 Kings 2, we're going to read 2 to 3.
1 Kings chapter...
Actually, start at 1.
Yes, sir. 1 Kings chapter 2 and verse 1. Now the days of David drew nigh that he should die, and he charged Solomon his son, saying...
And he charged his son, saying, read...
I go the way of all the earth.
So we must go in all these cities throughout the earth. And do what?
Be thou strong, therefore.
And be strong. Read.
And show thyself a man.
And show the people there are upright men in the community. Show that we have honorable men in the community. Show them that there is a way to stop youth violence. Read.
And keep the charge of the Lord thy God.
And keep the charge of God. Our job is to keep the charge of God and raise up what? Valiant sons and what? Precious daughters. Read.
To walk in his ways.
Come on.
To keep his statutes and his commandments.
And his commandments.
And his judgments. And his testimonies. As it is written in the law of Moses.
As it is written in the law of Moses. Read.
That thou mayest prosper.
That we may prosper as a people. That we may no longer be what? The children of disobedience. Read.
In all that thou doest, and whithersoever thou turnest thyself.
Play those videos.
Focus of this youth violence is going to be an African American youth. We're going to be looking at the United States as a whole. We're going to be looking at the state of Michigan and the city of Detroit.
People, when I talk to them, is that what you do now will determine what you can do, what you will do in your future.
A lot of times, the violence that comes in our community is through peer pressure. A lot of kids be good kids, but they get involved with the wrong people.
We get people off of drugs, get people off of alcohol, get people out of gangs, right?
A lot of times in our community, our young men lack vision, they lack focus, they lack justice, fortitude. The reason why they lack those things is because they do not know who they are.
Hey, check it out, Israel. IUIC Detroit, we just did our first youth violence conflict resolution seminar. All praise to the Most High. We get to the next level, y'all. Most High in Christ bless.
Shalom, Israel. Most High in Christ bless. It's Captain Barnabas. We're in Augusta, Georgia, at the youth violence.
Our first youth violence.
A lot of violence, a lot of crime.
Out here, the youth violence.
Conflict resolution.
So today, we had a couple members of the community come out.
Got the fire department turn up. They made very good speech.
So in area of Thompson, we've been having a large amount of crime take place. Just recently, we had a 15-year-old kill a 14-year-old, and then a retaliation murder on that person's family member as well. So it's a lot of murder, a lot of violence.
I personally think this is very beneficial. It gives a lot of awareness for a lot of the violence that we are unfortunately seeing in this community. The more y'all do this, the more awareness there will be for it.
Make solution, use the Bible to give them a more better, solution. So.
This is happening too often. People are reverting to gun violence rather than resolving disputes in a humane manner.
We have to be having a conversation with our children to see what they're experiencing in their day-to-day lives, whether it's at school. Estamos diciendo que no es un problema, solo él es joven, él está disfrutando su tiempo como joven, pero no. Tenemos que investigar el teléfono, tenemos que investigar sus grupos de amigos también, porque si ellos están tocando reggaetón, eso va a producir a él.
Uno más. 1, 2, 3. ¡Pare la policía!
Slavery, oppression, colonization, and a loss of identity.
Those are the 4 key factors of transgenerational trauma that we've passed down to our children.
This is a very serious subject, and it's not just here in Texas.
Dallas police pulled onto Dixon Avenue and found 2 teenage boys shot dead. They were, we now know, 18-year-olds Cameron Stacy and Kamari Smith-Katz.
This work is vitally important because of the violence that is happening predominantly in our communities. These are things that we got to get ahead of. And with these events, these seminars, this organization, that's what we're doing. We're getting ahead of the violence so that we can help our people give the solutions to overcome. Pray you brothers and sisters continue on the journey with us, support us. And with that, we say, shalom.
So Israel, it is time for us to rise on our feet. With that, we say shalom.
Shalom, Israel. This is Bishop Nathaniel. I want you to know that you can view all our Sabbath classes live on IUIC TV. That's right, I said on IUIC TV. Download the app today. Shalom.
What is the nation?
Nation is men leading by example. Nation is family. Nation is community. Nation is children with role models. Nation is unity. Nation is